Hey everyone, Dennis Kaye here with Belize Islands Real Estate coming to you live in this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It is, April 4th, 2020. We're right in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic. It's affecting almost every single country in the world, including Belize. I've been giving regular updates on my YouTube channel and through my Facebook page and others about how they're doing in Belize. Actually doing quite well on Ambergris Caye. But today I want to talk to you about a new program that I'm starting where I'm talking to clients of mine who have invested in Belize. They range from young guys in their 20s who are buying investment properties all the way up to guys and couples in their 70s and more who are buying properties in Belize to ride out their golden years with their toes in the sand and a drink in hand. And I thought you'd be interested in hearing some of their stories. So I hope you enjoy today's broadcast with Sean Ray. Sean is a young Canadian guy. Him and his wife and two children have recently purchased property in Belize. And in the first part of this interview, we talk a little bit about what's going on in the world with the coronavirus. Obviously, it's on the minds of many of us today, and it's impacting different regions of the world in different ways. So I think you'd be interested in that. Then we talk about how Sean got his start in investing in real estate in Canada, where he's currently living. And that's fascinating because then it dovetails nicely into what he's doing in Belize and why, and what he sees his future, what he sees is in his future as far as Belize is concerned. So enjoy today's show. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Email me. Please comment in the comments below if you have something positive and good to say. And hope you enjoy your weekend. Loved ones, family first. And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Recording. Yeah, all right. Cool, man. Well, today we have Sean Ray on the show. I'd like to welcome him. He has an interesting story that I thought my viewers and my clients would like to hear about. Sean obviously is a young guy, as you can see by this interview here. And he had humble beginnings, but about 3 years ago, he started to invest in real estate, and that was a big game changer for him. He told me before that he had a mind shift, started thinking differently about what he wanted out of life. And with that new mind shift and those new goals, he actually has created quite a nice portfolio of properties. So recently he started investing also in Belize real estate, so I'll let him tell you about that. But first of all, Sean, welcome to the show. And I guess we got to get talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is the coronavirus for you and I both, and in Belize and around the world. So how are things going for you guys there?
Yeah, so it's been kind of gradual change here in Canada. So we're seeing the government enforcing certain regulations day after day. So they're not really just closing up shop across the board. They're doing I guess what you would say is like not drastic, but I feel like it's almost everybody knows what's going to happen because we see it happening in Europe. Mm-hmm. But we're just not at that point yet. So right now they're down to like groups of 5. They've closed non-essential businesses. So right now we still have like delivery open for fast food places, pickup for drive-through. Can't go inside them or anything like that. But a lot of layoffs, right? I think we have over 1 million people that applied for unemployment last week.
Wow.
So that was a big hit to a lot of people. It's been affecting a lot of people, and even our company, we've seen like, I'm working remotely right now, but we've seen about 15% of the people get laid off. And yesterday they announced new construction is stopping all across Ontario, and they're also stopping all new residential construction with the exception of hospitals and transit. And I think they're starting to close some of our hardware stores as of Sunday as well too. So that'll be a big impact, for the economy for sure.
Yeah, it's happening all around the world. Here's the same thing. Here, everything is completely shut down. All businesses, restaurants, cafes, everything non-essential. The only thing that's open is grocery stores, pharmacies, hospitals, medical care, things like that. But it's good because it's getting out of control. Our area where we live is one of the hardest hit areas in France. We have some of the highest cases, the highest deaths. And in fact, right now I can hear airplanes taking people from our local hospital over to Germany, and trains are leaving to go to other parts of France because our hospitals are completely overwhelmed. So
wow.
Where Steph and I are staying inside, protecting ourselves. I just got the latest report on Belize. So far, the good news is there's only 2 cases on Ambergris Caye. No new
Mm-hmm.
cases have come out since those two ladies went into quarantine. That's really
Yep.
good for the island. They did find a fourth case in San Ignacio, which is on the mainland, but they
Yep.
think he picked that up in Belize City. So far, Ambergris Caye is really safe. And the mayor and the minister of tourism is taking it very seriously. And I'll post the article so you can read it if you haven't already. But Belizeans are very blunt. They just tell it like it is. They don't like, try to massage the announcement. So the mayor said, he said, look, we're on lockdown now. And he says, but if you don't obey the lockdown and we have an outbreak, he says, you think you have some freedom now? You just wait, because you're going to have nothing. You're going to be
Yep.
in complete lockdown. And,
Yep.
because people got to be told like it is, because,
Mm-hmm.
if they don't take it seriously in a place like Ambergris Caye, you can wipe out tourism for a couple of years, depending on your nonsense, so.
Yeah, no, people have to take it seriously. I'll be honest. I haven't went out of the house I've been working remote for about 3 weeks, and I haven't left the house for about a week.
Yeah.
And I went to get groceries yesterday for the first time in a week, and a lot has changed in a week. There's very few cars on the road, very few people in the grocery stores. Everyone's wearing masks. They have all the grocery stores marked out with tape for how close you're allowed to stand to each other. They have plexiglass around the cashiers. It's changed a lot in a week.
Yeah, we just try to order online some groceries, and so there's a pretty big shop here called a Picar. Everything is frozen, vegetables, fruits, meats. And so I went to order, and I placed a big order, and I looked, and it said the earliest we can deliver it is May 14th.
Oh my goodness.
May 14th. I'm like, oh my! So I went to another grocery store, and they can deliver in like 7 to 10 days. So
That's
we
a lot better.
got enough food here, but yeah, we're good. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys are staying safe, man.
Yeah, you too. You
Yeah.
too.
So tell us, how did you a little bit more about your upbringing, maybe like what you started to do for your career. You said you're working at home. Maybe how you got into what you're doing now, plus how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so I guess I can start off before I even got into real estate. I would say I did everything wrong up until I was in my 20s. Like I don't want to blame it on my upbringing or anything like that, but I did come from a little bit of a rougher childhood. I grew up in a single family home. I tended to kind of deviate away from hanging around the right people. So I was more inclined to hang around with the wrong crowd in school, throughout school, and all that. And pretty much I wasn't responsible financially. I always had a job. One of the reasons I always had a job was because we didn't have money. So I learned at a really young age. My first job was probably like 12 or 13, delivering flyers. Then working at a pizza store when I was like 15, and then working at a bar as a bar back when I was 16 up into my early 20s and stuff like that. I went to college, took business, and I didn't really find I was learning a lot that I didn't already know. So I ended up not even finishing and getting my business degree, and I somehow fell into the IT world. So I got a hold of this tech support job, and I'm still an IT guy now. This is like 14 years later. So I stayed in that industry, but financially, because we're talking about, I guess, investing and stuff like that, right? Financially, I didn't do anything right until I was in my mid 20s. So I didn't save money. I was going out and spending it on the wrong things. I was trying to buy all brand name clothes, and I was trying to impress my friends and have a nice car, and just materialistic stuff that really at the end of the day it doesn't matter. So it's that saying, I don't know who coined the phrase, but it's like you buy things for people that you buy things you want for people you don't even like. Yeah. Right? So you're not even buying for yourself, you're buying to impress other people. And so I was doing the wrong things, and there was a light bulb moment. I would say around 25 years old, where I was working. I was still working in IT. It's a good career. Pays pretty good. I was commuting back and forth to a different city to work, about an hour and a half each way. And I was sitting in the parking lot, and I was looking at my phone, and I was checking my bank account, and I was waiting to see if my paycheck had come in, because I didn't have enough money to go and get gas to get home. And that was a realization where I was like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm working a full-time job, and I was working overtime. I was working like 50, 60 hours a week, and I didn't have enough money. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I need to fix something, right? This isn't the way we should be living, where we're working, 60 hours a week and can't even afford to get to work and back. And so I started doing some research, and I went online. I started listening to podcasts like this, and other people who are experienced in investing. And I started looking at different avenues of investing, whether it was stocks or real estate investing. And real estate investing ended up becoming one of those things that really attracted me, because I realized that this is something that I could do if I just kind of, took the bull by the horns and learned and applied everything that I learned. So I started diving really deep, and I started reading all the books. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was a game changer for me. That was a total mindset shift when I read that book. I went from not understanding finances to realizing that I've been doing every single thing wrong. I haven't been focused on any assets. At that time, I didn't own a house, and I was renting, right? And so I did a mindset shift, and I switched from focusing on the liabilities that I had and that I was buying, to purchasing assets. And then I read a bunch of other great books, and completely shifted my mindset. And so we ended up purchasing our first house. The way I purchased that house was actually by it was kind of like a side job or a side hustle on top of the IT, which was I bought a bunch of sneakers, and I was reselling them at like a 80% profit margin, something like that.
That's the true entrepreneur right there.
Yeah.
So you had your main job, your hourly job, and then you side hustled to get money to buy real estate.
Exactly. So that was the first property that I bought. And so my wife and I moved in, and we were happy that we purchased a new house. We were proud that we bought it. And Jen was pregnant at the time. And so we had planned to make that our family's home. And I realized after like not even a year went by that I was kind of still in the same boat. I was paying all my bills. So I had bought an asset, but I didn't buy the right asset, because it's like I think it's Cardone that says, that if you own this asset and the asset is not producing a cash flow for you, then it's not really an asset.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
Robert Kiyosaki too. Your house is not an asset.
Your house is not an asset. So I didn't even so I bought my first house, but I still didn't have that understanding. And this is a whole journey, as you read more and you learn more, it's a journey. So my first property was essentially not an asset, even though I thought it was. So we lived in it for a year. I was in the same boat, living paycheck to paycheck. And I realized that after doing some more research and watching some more YouTube videos, I realized that I should probably be buying a duplex, where I have the income of the other unit offsetting one of our units, or I mean the entire property. So I ended up convincing my wife to sell our brand new house. It was a new construction, beautiful. So we sold it, and we moved into an older house that needed renovations, and it was a duplex in a totally different city where we could actually afford. So I'm so grateful that she
was on board with that. You got her on board.
So grateful that she did, because that was like the trajectory that started everything, right? Just that one purchase kind of changed everything. And then from there, my plan, I put together a vision board, right? And I said, okay, well, what does my path look like? So I put together a vision board that outlined where I'll be in 1 year, where I'll be in 3 years, and where I'll be in 5 years and 10 years. And in 5 years, I had a plan to purchase I wanted 3 houses. So I wanted to have 2 rental properties, and then I wanted to have my own house. And about 3.5 years went by. We had our second daughter in that time. So we had bigger family, more expenses. Cost of living was higher. Jennifer was on mat leave. She wasn't working. And I'm like, oh my God, 3.5 years went by and we haven't saved any money. So I'm doing something wrong again. What do I got to do? And so kind of I don't know if I'm a sucker for punishment, but I said to Jen, I'm like, I need to go back and I need to get more money. And I was still working IT, but I actually went and I started working multiple jobs after IT. So I'd come home from my IT job. I'd work at a sushi restaurant from 6 till 11 at night. And then I'd drive a taxi from 11 at night till about 3, 4 in the morning. I did that for about a year just so that I could get enough funds together so I could buy that second rental property.
Oh my goodness.
So we did that. And that was in that was the end of 2016. So no, sorry, the end of end of 2016. And I bought my second property, moved into it, and it was another multifamily, it was another duplex. So I kept my first duplex, moved into the second duplex, and I lived upstairs and rented the downstairs. So now I had three sources of income essentially, right? Because I had one in the house I was living in, and then two from the first house we bought. So that was kind of a big boost for us, because we went from having just one source of income downstairs that was helping cover the cost of the first property to now having three sources of income that was helping cover the two costs of the property. Mm-hmm. So I realized that was a big boost. The problem I ran into was I had worked 3 jobs. I was completely exhausted. I stopped working those 2 other jobs because I just couldn't do it anymore. I wanted to get to that second property. And once I got there, I left the other 2 jobs, stayed in my IT job, and I had no capital left. So mm-hmm. I was stuck, right? And mm-hmm. and this is a big challenge that I see a lot of investors get into, where they get 1 property, 2 properties, 3 properties, and then they're stuck.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And what I found that was really important, and I'm so grateful for, is that it's the people that you align with and your team of connections, your network. So I ended up connecting with somebody through Bigger Pockets, who was from the area, who had a mortgage broker who was an investor himself, who was experienced in lending to investors. And he said, Sean, I'm gonna connect you with Jacob Perez. Shout out to Jacob Perez at Synergy Mortgage. That I'm gonna connect you with him, and he's a guy that's gonna be able to help you out. So I connected with him, and he kind of taught me that the assets that I currently owned, I could leverage those. And I didn't understand that yet. I wasn't at that point yet. I was still very new to this, right? So he taught me that, okay, well, I can take these 2 properties and I can leverage them if there's equity in them, and I can refinance some of that money out, and I can use that to buy a 3rd rental property. So I trusted him, and I said, okay, let's do it. And, you know, did a couple little things, fixed up a couple little things on both the properties, and then went to the bank, had them appraise the properties. We refinanced both of the properties out, and that actually allowed me to buy. So this was the beginning of 2018. So in 2018, that allowed me to buy a 4-plex and then another duplex. Wow. And that was, again, a huge change in our lives, right? Because now that added another additional 6 sources of income, mm-hmm. Of passive income to our portfolio. And so that was 2018. And then going into 2019 last year, I basically did the same thing. You know, I collected my focus has always been on cash flow and buying properties that are undervalued. Mm-hmm. So if you get a good understanding of what your market is and what other properties are going for in the area, if you can buy something that's 70 cents on the dollar, then you know that if there is a pandemic or something that happens to the market that's going to affect the market, and you lose 30% of the value in your real estate, well, hopefully it's not going to bankrupt you.
Right.
So I've been focusing on cash flow, buying properties that are under market value since day one. And so 2019, we took the money from the 2 properties we bought in 2018, and I bought 6 more duplexes last year. And from when you started, from when you bought not your own personal house, let's don't count that, from when you bought your duplex, your first duplex, to now, how many years has that been, and how many do you own now? So it's since I bought the primary residence that I'm living in. I have a total of, is it 10? I have a total of 10. I think it's 11 now. I think I have 11 properties now. So I have 1 4-plex, 1 triplex, and then 9 duplexes.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's like 25 sources of passive income.
And then just help me understand the timing. So when did you buy your very first duplex? When you sold the house, convinced the wife to take a step back? What year was that approximately?
That would have been 2013 or 2014. And then I didn't buy anything for almost 4 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, that goes back, so it's about 7 years, since you started, investing in real estate. And what I really like about that story is because a lot of guys like, you and I, and, we're kind of like fan base of Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Ken McElroy, some of these people that have thousands of units. And we look at that and thinking, it's almost like it's almost inachievable for the average person to do that. And so we don't realize that, yeah, but you don't do that overnight, and you
No.
start somewhere. And
Yeah.
so many people think, oh, well, they do the numbers, that they look at a place, they do the numbers. You know what? That only gives me an extra $200 a month. What is that? I was like, yeah, that one deal does. But, imagine
Exactly.
multiplying that by 10, by 20, 25, 30. And now, like you said, even if you got hurt today and you couldn't work, you have that income. You don't have to worry about
Exactly.
eating. Robert Kiyosaki calls it being out of the rat race.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about eating.
Yep.
And that's a secure place right now in the United States. I saw last week something like 7 million people file for unemployment, and they're expecting it to go up to 30 million.
Yep.
They're going to be eating off unemployment money or
Yeah.
welfare, not
Yes.
income that they generated themselves. So,
Exactly.
I mean, are you stopping now? Do you feel comfortable? Are you still looking for the next big thing? You're going to continue your investing in Canada?
With real estate, I think this is something that I'm really passionate about. So for me, I don't really look at it even as a source of income anymore, because I enjoy it so much that I'm so passionate about it that I think that I will continue to do this for the rest of my life. It's like real life Monopoly.
Yeah, right. And Monopoly is a real game.
Yeah, it's a real game, and
Collecting your rent.
yeah, so I enjoy.
Even in this coronavirus, shutdown, it's the one thing people say, well, what happens when your tenants can't pay rent, right? I mean, that's the big question. So they say that in a way that means, well, rentals aren't a good investment. But look, at the end of the day, people have to eat. People have to live somewhere. People are going to find a way to pay rent. They might not be able to pay rent for 2 or 3 months, but eventually they're going to pay rent again. And those
Yes.
buildings that you have, those apartments, duplexes, they're not going anywhere. They're still there.
Yep.
And most likely what's going to happen, I haven't been following what's happening in Canada, but the United States, part of the stimulus package is working with apartment owners and landlords to help give them tax breaks and incentives to maintain their properties, to work with their people who are renting from them, because they realize that people aren't going to be out on the street because of this. People are going to have apartments, right?
Yeah.
So it's a sound, solid investment. And what I like about real estate investing is, the stock market has been going crazy every day. You've seen that, right? But
Yeah.
it's not based on reason. It's
No.
like it's completely arbitrary.
It is.
Based on an announcement from a president or a tweet from somebody, or it can send a stock high and low. Has nothing to do with the actual value of the company.
Yeah, I was having the discussion with somebody else last week, and it was how I'm trying to figure out, why is the stock market rallying and going up
That's
when
it.
nothing has changed.
Exactly.
Nothing has changed, and it's even gotten worse. But the
Yeah.
stock market's rallying, and it went up like 10%. Why?
Why? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking the same thing about, when this happened, the stock market's been going up and down for years, but the people always say in Belize, when something like this happens, they say, okay, do you have any good deals now? I'm like, no, because the property values didn't decrease. Nothing's happened to property values,
Yeah. There's no volatility.
No.
There's no volatility in real estate like that.
No, it's more like a tanker. It takes a long time to move a tanker or slow it down. So, yeah. So how did you end up finding about Belize and investing in Belize?
I started looking at Belize, I would say beginning of 2019. I started looking at it, and I'd come across Secret Beach, and I started doing my research. I've realized now that due diligence is very important. Took me a long time to figure that out, but I understand that if you do your due diligence, you can really hedge yourself against a lot of risk. So if you understand what the risk is, and you do your due diligence, and you go in knowing what the risk is, and you're okay with that, then it's generally a good investment, right? If you're okay with taking on that risk. So I was looking at Belize. I've actually never been to Belize. So it was just one of those things. I've talked about on another podcast that my life kind of aligns with warm weather and beach and palm trees, and drinking from coconuts. Like that's just one of those things that I envision myself in the future. It's on my vision board that that I'll be able to enjoy when I like. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's just, I'm not working and I'm on the beach, but I want to have the option to be able to go there with my family whenever I want. And I wanted to set up some type of investments that were aligned with those life goals. So Belize came across the opportunity as a good investment for various reasons. One being that English is the primary language, and it's the only country in Central America that has that. And the other thing that I really liked was that it has a fee simple title, which we have here in Canada. So it's not like leasehold, where 100 years, in 100 years, it's not yours anymore. Once you buy land in Belize or property in Belize, it's yours, just the same way it's in Canada. And you can pass that down generation to the next generation. So that was one of the reasons that I bought there, and I was really, really interested in it. And yeah, I love the beach. So
Awesome. And you've never been to Belize. So how does, I mean, this is not rare, just so you know. I would say a larger than you would think percentage of my clients have never been to the country. I would say, if I had to add it up and give you a number, I would say 20%, 25% of my clients have never been to the country, which is crazy. They're buying property in a country they've never been to from a guy they've never met in person. And they do the closings online and through FedEx. It doesn't give the warm and fuzzies, but it's actually, I don't know why, but it works, because I think what happens is, Belize is there's enough established there. There's enough facts and figures and research that you can do. You can see enough videos, enough pictures, talk to enough people, to know that it's a real deal, right? It's a real deal. And so for you, buying a property sight unseen, were you nervous at all or apprehensive about pulling the trigger on that?
Yes, of course. So with the purchase, I did do a lot of research on the area, comparables. And the thing is honestly, with the internet nowadays, like you can gather all the information that you need to make an informed decision, I think, so that's what I did before I purchased. I did my research, made sure that I was buying in what I looked at to be a good area, which I was buying in a developing area. So Secret Beach is a developing area. It's there's no Hilton or anything like that at Secret Beach, but the price point was great. So to me it was a no-brainer. The price point was good. I saw minimal risk buying there, and I'm actually really excited because my plans for the future, when we can actually travel again, my plans for the future is to go there and spend some time and actually get to know the island really well. So I'd like to go for a month or 2 months, and I want to start getting my contacts and my network built up there, and see how I'm going to progress and do other investments there. Because, for me, I look at it as, okay, well, now I'm setting kind of like a flag, right? So I've put a flag, I've invested some money, I've invested some time. I now have a flag here on this island, which now gives me the reason to go there and to look at new investment opportunities or potentially business opportunities.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Very good. I don't know if you followed the radio real estate guys, Robert Adams. So they have a saying, they say, live where you want to live, but invest where the numbers make sense.
Yep.
And so, like you, the numbers are making sense in Belize, plus you're a warm weather guy. So it's a no-brainer. And you're investing there in what you know. So you have the best of both worlds. You have the place in Canada, beautiful summers there, and then place in Belize. So that'll be excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Would you have any plans to move down full-time at any point, or would you just use it as a vacation home or part-time residence?
So I have to see where this whole journey takes us, but the plan eventually is to be 100% into real estate. And when I get to that point, then I can really see us being there for a good chunk of the year. So taking the family and being there, for a good chunk of the year. We've even had discussions of doing homeschooling and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know where this journey is going to take us, but in my vision is to be able to actually spend quite a bit of time on basically, if it's winter here, I don't want to be here.
Good for you. Yeah, yeah, that's what got us out of Michigan as well.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Sean. Well, thanks a lot for agreeing to be interviewed today. Really appreciate this. Is there anything else that you want my audience to know or to think about? My audience is basically, I have a couple of different portions of my audience. A small portion is like you, younger guys with families who are buying now for the future. Another portion is strictly investors who don't like Belize, don't even care about Belize, but they're investing because the numbers make sense. And then the third group are like retirees, those who are in their 50s, 60s, and just want a place to kind of ride out their golden years. Do you have any thoughts about those different groups, or what advice you might give them, or tips and tricks of investing?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say if you're in the younger generation and you're looking to do investments like this, so I purchased my investment through yourself, Dennis, and the transaction was amazing. Like I had zero concerns. It closed through a closing company properly, cleanly. We got all the paperwork notarized. And you were very helpful. You were very very good with communication. So I felt like the transaction was very smooth, considering that I didn't even go there, right? So this was all done online through a closing company, through emails, and then paperwork through the lawyer. So essentially for somebody who's a younger generation and they want to get into an investment like that, I would definitely recommend them to reach out to somebody. If you're looking in Ambergris Caye, let's say, reach out to yourself and have that discussion and say, okay, what kind of investments can I get into? And don't think of it as, I'm going to get rich quick. Think of it as I'm going to plant a seed, and in 10 years, 15 years, there's going to be a tree there, right? So that's how you have to look at these type of opportunities. That's what an investment is, right? It's not a get rich quick. It's a get rich for sure, but get rich slow.
Yeah.
So for the younger generation, definitely you should be looking at doing stuff like that if you want to plan for the future. For the retirees, I would say that your focus should really be on cash flow. So you should be looking at things that cash flow now that give you a better return than your RRSPs, because it's, you're getting an 8% return and some years you're losing. So I would definitely tell people that are investing in RSPs and stuff like that, or 401ks, to look at taking your money and investing into real estate and look for cash flowing opportunities that are going to generate you monthly passive income, right? And with real estate, you have appreciation and you have pay down of your mortgage. If you get a mortgage, you may not, it might not be financed, but if it is financed, you have pay down of that, you have appreciation, and you have cash flow. It's a trifecta. It's great income, and it's a lot better than 8% generally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, Sean. Really appreciate it. Don't want to take up too much of your time today. I know it's a Saturday and you probably want to be here with your wife and kids. So yeah, thanks a lot. And as soon as this coronavirus passes through and we can both travel again, hope to meet you on island in Belize. And
I'll meet you down there for sure.
I'll buy you a beer, whatever you drink, and we can hang out at Secret Beach for a while.
That would be awesome. I look forward to that actually a lot.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah,
thanks.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.